Welcome to episode 4 of Sports Talk with the Statsman. Hi, folks, I'm Paul Bruno, and I want to thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel at PB the Statsman. On today's show, I reveal how I think each division of the AFC in the NFL will wind up this year, and I'll highlight the top quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and 1 tight end and a kicker for each club. Beginning with the Eastern Division, I see the Buffalo Bills as the class of this group, finishing with a record of 11-6. I think Josh Allen is a lock to be in the MVP conversation once again. They'll have a slightly different look in the backfield with James Cook being the primary running back and backed by veteran Damian Harris for a nice 1-2 punch. At the wide receiver set, they have Stephon Diggs, who will be among the league leaders in yardage and pass catches on the season. Gabe Davis, another deep threat, will help him avoid double coverage much of the time. Khalil Shakir is their 3rd wide receiver in a 3 wide receiver set. Dawson Knox will show up as their tight end again, and Tyler Bass will handle the place-kicking duties. The New York Jets figure to be a part of this race this year, with Aaron Rodgers joining them in a very highly hyped offseason pickup. Breece Hall will be behind the veteran quarterback to handle most of the running duties, backed by Dalvin Cook. Not really sure what they're going to get from that veteran, but if he's in top shape, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch there as well. The 3 wide receivers here are Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, and Randall Cobb. The latter 2 very familiar to Aaron Rodgers, and he had a lot to do with them coming to the Jets. Tyler Conklin will be the tight end here, and Greg Zuerlein moves on to yet another team to handle the place-kicking duties for the Jets. Miami Dolphins figure to be in the mix as well. I have them pegged for a 9-8 record as well. Tua Tagovailoa handling the quarterbacking duties, hoping that he can complete a healthy season as opposed to last year's very erratic year for him. Raheem Mostert will handle the primary running duties because Jeff Wilson's on the IR and figures to miss at least the first 4 games. A guy who's going to get a chance because of this is Devon Achane. He's getting a lot of hype in preseason pools for fantasy leagues, but I don't know if that's a wise choice given the 2 veterans here once they are both healthy. Tyreek Wilson, one of the premier deep threats in the NFL, is going to lead the receivers here. Jalen Waddle forms a nice 1-2 punch here, and both of them should get a lot of single coverage as a result. Cedric Wilson will be the 3rd receiver of choice here. At tight end, they have young Durham Smythe handling the primary duties, and then Jason Sanders will be handling the place-kicking duties for them. Rounding out the division and finishing up the track, I've got the New England Patriots at 5-12. Mac Jones is going to be their quarterback. Ramondre Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott, a late pickup in the offseason, will handle the duties here at running back. Juju Smith-Schuster, Devontae Parker, and Kendrick Bourne will be in the mix for wide receiver receptions. Hunter Henry will handle the tight end duties, and rookie kicker Chad Ryland will handle the place kicking for the Patriots. In the North Division, I've got Cincinnati being a real threat to go and represent the AFC this year, finishing at 12-5. Joe Burrow also in the MVP discussion. In fact, I'll go out and say I think he's going to be the MVP, my choice anyway. Joe Mixon, Chase Brown handle the running back duties. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. I won't find a better 3 wide receiver set on any team in the NFL this year, I don't think. Irv Smith handles the tight end role, and Evan McPherson the place-kicking duties. Baltimore Ravens will challenge the Bengals all year long, but they'll come up just a little bit short, I think, and they're going to come up at 11-6 is the record I have for them. Lamar Jackson, one of the highlight reel players in this league, will handle the quarterbacking duties. I'd like to see him throw the ball more and run a little bit less just to keep him more durable. He seems to get injured and nicked up quite regularly so far in his career. J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards are 2 veteran running backs that should be trusted to lug the rock more and more this season. Rashad Bateman, Odell Beckham, and Zay Flowers give them a very different look at the wide receiver set. That's 3 pretty good quality guys there. And Mark Andrews, one of the top tight ends in football, despite a very pedestrian second half last year, I'll say. Justin Tucker, the most reliable kicker in football history, will be back to handle place-kicking duties for the Ravens this season. Cleveland Browns are in tough in this division. Deshaun Watson is a pretty good quarterback, I'll say, but not in the class of the other 2 guys that I mentioned so far in this division. Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford, they'll handle the running back duties. Chubb should be among the league leaders in rushing yardage, in fact, this season. Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, and Donovan Peoples-Jones give them 3 veterans at the wide receiver that are pretty credible options. David Njoku, veteran tight end as well, and Dustin Hopkins handling the place-kicking duties. And finally, to round out this division, the Pittsburgh Steelers will finish 7-10. Kenny Pickett continues to mature as a young quarterback and will be at the controls this year. Najee Harris, a pretty good pass receiver out of the running back position, will be among the total yardage leaders, I think, in the American Football Conference. And Jalen Warren will back him up at the running back position. Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Allen Robinson will handle the wide receiver duties. Pat Freiermuth, one of the top tight ends in football, I think, this year. And Chris Boswell will handle the place-kicking duties. We move down to the South Division now, and I look for Jacksonville to continue their upward trajectory in recent years, and they'll be a contender for a playoff spot, I believe, and finish at the top of this division with an 11-6 mark. Trevor Lawrence continuing to mature as one of the young stars in the NFL at the controls here at quarterback. Travis Etienne should be a bell cow at the running back position, not only in the running game, but also pass catching out of the backfield. Tank Bigsby will back him up in that role. Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, and Jay Jones are the trips at wide receivers. Evan Ingram should be a pretty good tight end option here, given that Lawrence is going to be looking for a security blanket more often than not this season, I think, in the passing game. And the kicker of choice is Brandon McManus here. The Tennessee Titans, I predict, will be 10-7. They've got veteran quarterback Ryan Tannehill, who probably isn't going to scare too many people, but he's got a lot of weapons at his disposal, so he'll have a pretty good year just because of his association with this group that features Derrick Henry and Ty J. Spears at the running back positions. DeAndre Hopkins landed here in free agency. Treylon Burks and Kyle Phillips are going to be the veteran wide receivers of choice. Phillips, though, won't get a start early in the season because he's on the IR, so that'll give Nick Westbrook-Ikine a chance to strut his stuff in the early going. We'll see how that goes. And at the tight end position, Chigozie Okonkwo will be the primary tight end, and Nick Folk, veteran kicker, will handle the place-kicking duties here. From the top 2 in this division, it drops off when you come to Indianapolis. They'll be life and death to win 6 games, I think, so I'll call them 6-11. Anthony Richardson is the rookie quarterback that's been highly regarded and handed the controls at the start of this season. Zach Moss and Deion Jackson are his top 2 running backs. That's because Jonathan Taylor is on the PUP list. That means he's going to have to sit out 4 games to start this season before he's totally healthy. Michael Pittman, Alex Pierce, and Josh Downs will be the wide receivers. It's not a very inspiring wide receiver set, in my opinion. At tight end, they got Kylan Granson, and at the place kicker spot, they've got Matt Gay. And then rounding out this division, maybe the worst team in the AFC is the Houston Texans. I predict they'll be at 5-12, and they also will start a rookie quarterback in C.J. Stroud. They've got Damian Pierce and Devin Singletary at the running back positions, Nico Collins, Robert Woods, and Noah Brown over at the wide receiver set. Brown was with the Cowboys last year and in the third receiver role. I think he's going to get more reps here, and he'll have a familiar face lining up inside him on the line. That's Dalton Schultz, who was one of the premier offseason acquisitions for this club. He'll handle the tight end duties and should be one of the top at that position in the league. At the kicker position, Kami Fairburn will handle those duties. Finally, we wind up with the Western Division, and that's where I think the absolute cream of this conference will not only include Cincinnati, but Kansas City as the defending champs. 12-5 is the predicted mark that I have for them. And of course, Patrick Mahomes will be in the race for MVP alongside Joe Burrows. He's the defending champ, actually, so I look for him to have another outstanding year. And the name recognition of his supporting cast is a little bit lesser than what the Bengals have. So if it's a close race, I'm going to have to give the nod to Mahomes because he'll be the difference maker here. Isaiah Pacheco looks to be the top running back of choice. Jerick McKinnon will back him up. Kadarius Toney's been dealing with a little bit of injury issues preseason to date, but looks like he should be a go to start the season. And Marcus Valdes-Scantling and Sky Moore will join him in the 3-receiver set. Travis Kelce may be the best tight end in football and has gone in the first round of a lot of drafts this preseason to underscore that comment. Harrison Butker is one of the top place kickers in the game to help them in that aspect of the special teams as well. The LA Chargers are chock full of stars too, but I don't think they have what it takes to keep pace in this division, so I'm going to give them an 8-9 record. Justin Herbert at the controls, pass-happy quarterback who loves to throw the ball all over the yard, and people who draft him can look for a lot of 300-yard games, buoyed by the fact he'll get a lot of yardage in garbage time when the opposing defense can afford to loosen up a little bit. So that's a factor that I consider in taking an eye on him in my fantasy football projections. Austin Eckler, a busy running back, not only in the running game but in the passing game as well, makes him a real asset, one of the top guys that should go at that position in your drafts. He's supported by Joshua Kelly. Then they have a pretty nice 3-receiver set that returns. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Joshua Palmer, all guys that have played with Herbert before, and they should be very effective. Gerald Everett will be the tight end here, and Cameron Dicker the kicker they call him, is going to be handling the place-kicking duties. Then we have the Denver Broncos, who are hoping to get a better year out of Russell Wilson. I don't think it's going to be enough because they're in tough in this division. I'm going to call them at best a 7-10 record for them. Devante Williams, Samaje Perine will handle the running game. Jerry Jeudy's been nicked up in preseason and may not start for game 1, but don't worry, he's going to be their top gun all year long, and he finished the season very well last year, so I think for me he should be a highly regarded option in the wide receiver game once he is healthy. Cortland Sutton and Marvin Mims, Mims a rookie, round out the 3-receiver set. Adam Troutman will be the tight end here. Will Lutz will handle the place-kicking duties. And finally, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. I have them at a 5-12 record. Jimmy Garoppolo lands here as the quarterback. He's going to be ably supported by Josh Jacobs, who's a guy that gets the ball a lot for this team in the running and passing game. So I think that's 3 guys that I highlighted in that regard just in the AFC here. Zamir White will back up Jacobs at the running game. And then one of the top wide receivers in the game, Devante Williams, lines up alongside Jacoby Myers and Hunter Renfrow to give them a pretty nice look at 3 veterans at the receiver position. And then Austin Hooper makes it a 4th viable veteran option at the tight end spot. Daniel Carlson will handle the place-kicking duties. So that's it, my look at the AFC, folks. If you like what you've heard, please hit the like and subscribe buttons on the screen. It's all free. I'll be back in a couple of days with my look at the NFC division races on the next episode of Sports Talk with Statsman. Thanks for listening.